Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach podcast. I'm Ashdin, doctor, your habit coach. And today we're going to deep dive into understanding the whole world of budgeting and then investing, because money habits are something that is so important. It is a universal phenomenon, right? We always worry about money and where it's coming and where we're saving. So today we have the host of Paisa Vaisa with us. By the way, I was one of the first guests that I appeared on was on his show, and I was completely freaked out at that point of time. So I'm so happy that he's coming on the Habit Coach podcast. Anupam Gupta, welcome to the Habit Coach podcast.
I'm so thrilled to be here. Ashdin, thank you so much for having me. I remember those good old days in 2017. My podcast is still called Paisa Vaisa. We've not graduated to Rupiah. So we are still where we are. But wow, thank you for having me. And yeah, man, long time ago. You were clean shaven at that point of time, of
I was
course.
clean shaven with a French beard. Now there's no place for the microphone to
You
fit.
look great then and you're looking great now.
Thank you. Anupam,
Huh.
budgeting, right? Like when I say the word budgeting, what are the thoughts that come to your mind?
I just go back to my very simple mathematical and very easy to understand thing, which is income minus expense is equal to savings. A lot of people think the other way around. They think it's income minus savings is equal to expenses.
Slowly. My brain exploded.
Relax. So, there's been a revolution happening in the last few years about this. See, budgeting is simple. Yeah.
Okay,
What you earn, what you spend, that's it.
correct.
It's literally in 2 sentences. So, but you can make it as detailed and as simple as you want. When you want to make it simple, you just remember that you can't spend more than you earn and you have to save. That's it. And your life's philosophies and everything revolves around that. I'm giving you the simple answer, which is that first you need to understand yourself. What kind of person are you? Are you someone for whom regret is a big thing? Now, that kind of personality is very different. That happens typically a bit later in life. People who are young don't have too many regrets because YOLO and FOMO and all that. But as you grow older, you want to be, you want to just enjoy what's there to life. Anyway, so there's that. And then on the investment side, there's risk return, which is, are you someone who's like really safe, wants to play it safe, believes that the world is going to end tomorrow, wants your money to be safe, or you're someone who says, I can do whatever I want. So I think budgeting starts from first understanding yourself and then understanding about money. That's my simple answer to you. If you want me to go into a longer answer, I can,
Longer answers needed, because how do you identify yourself or understand yourself is the biggest question in all self-help books in any case, right? So how would you tell somebody to identify or learn about themselves?
That's an introspection question, I think, more than anything else. A lot of people, they kind of start with the whole mutual fund and equity and debt and asset allocation and shares and just take it easy out here. Okay, let's go back 2 steps. What's life about? Life's, let's say, about enjoying yourself. Okay, doing what you love. Okay, that's a good place to start from.
Right.
If you want to enjoy life and do what you love, why don't you focus on that? So let's start from there. And if you're really good at it, the market will pay you. India, it's the year 2022. It's not the year 1980. Okay, the market, if you're really good at what you do, talent usually gets spotted early, or rather, I wouldn't say easily. It gets spotted. I think even you would agree with that. It does take a lot of effort. If you can't make that effort, then that's a different story. But let's say you're making the effort. So focus on that and then figure out how you want to spend and invest your money. You're not going to get it right. So please make as many mistakes as you want, but learn from your mistakes. Okay? Then comes the practical part. Apps, diaries, journals. I have been maintaining an Excel file since I got my first job.
With all the expenses and everything.
Yeah. So if you want me to tell you that in the year 2002, when I got my first car, by the way, what was literally the first full tank that I did, I can tell you that.
Wow.
And it was at the rate of whatever, 18 rupees a liter or whatever it was at that point of time. But that also comes from the fact that what I used to do involved a lot of Excel. So it used to be simple for me. I'm using Excel for my work. Just open Excel for this.
Correct.
And it just continued. So that has helped me a lot. But then I'm that personality that I really want all control. Like I really need to see what I'm earning, what I'm spending, what I'm investing. Are you that kind of person? If you're not, then my suggestion to you is please take out time.
Okay.
Every week. Okay. You'll probably have to start with every day. Okay. And use whatever is available to you. There are apps these days which do this for you. There are people who are old school who just need a diary. But it is very important for you, irrespective of who you are, what your personality type is, for you to be in complete and total control of what you're earning, what you're spending, what you're investing. That I feel is non-negotiable. If you're someone who doesn't have that as a habit, please make sure you do. I mean, and I cannot. I wish I could emphasize this 100 times more. But since your podcast is called The Habit Coach, please make this into a habit. So I think that's the slightly more detailed answer.
Would you know exactly what your bank balance is? Were you that aware of everything that's going on?
I have a rough idea.
Okay.
So I will not obviously know it to the last decimal. But I would, and there's a it's hilarious how this happened. So when I got my car early on, right?
The 2002 wala.
Yeah, the 2002 wala. And I used to go to, and I'm not used to filling up the tank and all that. And I just go there and the guy just filled it up. And I'm like, okay, kitna hua? That time it used to be 2000 for a full tank. And I take out my purse because I used to pay cash. I didn't have a credit card at that point of time. I didn't have any money. No more. They were mobile. So I called my wife and she came over and she paid and all that. But that kind of left a lot of lessons to me.
Right.
That the minimum in my pocket at any given point of time has to be 2,000. Of course, now a full tank is much more. But so there are general rules to have. Like my bank balance needs to have a minimum of so much at any given point of time. My purse needs to have minimum at any given point of time. My credit card cannot go above this at any given point of time. So once you start doing this as a habit, as a discipline becomes habit eventually. And then you don't even think about it.
Correct.
You just know it's there.
You know, this carrying money in your pocket, there are two schools of thought, right? One is don't carry money because you're going to spend it, right? The less money you carry, the less you're going to spend. And the other school of thought is this: carry a lot of money, so like 20K in your pocket, so that you constantly feel that sense of abundance about having that money with you. What are your thoughts on these two?
No, I'm a frugal guy. I mean, I know there's minimum and that's it.
The minimum amount of cash in your pocket.
I will never carry more than that. Unless, of course, there's an occasion and I know that there's an outside chance that I might need more money because I'll be, probably handing out tips here. You can't do UPI for tips. Maybe you can, but I'm just a very cash person when it comes to tips. But no, I don't believe in it. I believe in frugality out here. To the extent possible, of course, because everything is also about balance. But no, I do not subscribe to the thought of having excess money. I know a lot of people who do that. Okay, I don't know, for them it gives them a sense of security.
Correct.
As in whatever happens, I know that I'm sorted. Okay. I don't know. I just like to say that, okay, I don't think that there are many scenarios in which I will need that kind of money and I'm good. So no, I'm not in that.
Have you ever carried that much in your pocket?
No, I haven't. My wife has, but not me. She has.
So, when it comes to money, I remember the first time ever I met her, those bank investment advisors that come. And he said, sir, your age is 25 or whatever, and that means that you have to take high risk, right? And they were giving me my risk allocation basis my age. How much of the weightage is on age and how much is on your personality type? Because that's what we started off with.
Yeah. So there's a rule that says 100 minus 25 is equal to your 100 minus age.
100 minus age
is your equity portion. That's it's a very, very rough thumb rule. Very, very rough thumb rule. But that's, a lot of advice these days is brought down to a level where it becomes simple and easy to understand. It works for a lot of people. So when he's saying that you need to have high risk, what he's saying is that 100 minus, say, if you were 25 years old at that point of time, out of every 100 that you're investing, 75 should go to equity and 25 should go to debt. I think a lot of people follow 60-40. Whatever rocks your boat, this is your money. I come from the school of thought that believes that at least start. Start and make it a habit. A lot of people stumble there only.
Right.
Then start, make it a habit and stay long enough and then gradually build your base. At some point in time, you'll understand that, I'm not that risk. I don't want to take risks. So for you, maybe 50-50 works. Maybe 80-20 works. Cool. That's absolutely fine. I do not, I've never believed in absolutes when it comes to money or for a lot of things in life. You can be 25 and you can still say that I do not want to put in equity.
Correct.
Okay. And that's fine. Then you have to accept that your longer term rate of return might or might not be what you want it to be to meet your goals. But again, that's a separate discussion.
Okay.
But yeah, what you're saying is true. A lot of advisors do go with 100 minus J's is equal to equity. My opinion, simple thumb rule, but please also learn much more.
All right. What are the main categories when you think of budgeting? So like, for example, I said that let's talk about budgeting first. What are the aspects of budgeting that you must focus on? Like people are just starting their jobs off, they don't know how to start this process. What is the starting process?
Oh, great question. I think that's it's a very good place to start from. If you're someone who's starting his career, got his first job, I think this is the first question you should be asking yourself. I am making a budget. Now let me break it down. Okay, so I think you start with income.
Okay.
That depends on now who are you? Are you a salaried person or are you a freelancer? Okay, both are very different questions. Both fundamentally change budgets. Okay, if you're a salaried person, chill out life. Every month, money is going to come and it's going to come and it's going to come. I mean, companies do pay salaries these days. I know there are some places where they skip. If you're a freelancer, life is very different. Okay, I haven't had a salary for 10 years now, and I know what that feels like in terms of 3 months, 4 months, zero income. Okay, so first, when you're making that Excel file or whatever you're doing, please keep a track of your income. Okay, if you're someone who's very, very young, starting your first job, life is slightly better for you because you just have to put in one, figure there saying that this is my salary per month. Okay, boom, you're sorted. Now let's come to the tougher part, which is expenses. That's, I think, almost 80 to 90% of budgeting is expenses. Make it simple. Necessary, discretionary, or whatever, Ayashi and, real kharcha, whatever. Choose whatever words you want that appeal to you, that make you want to do the process. Don't choose hi-fi words and all that. It's your budget. Yeah. It's not like you have to publish this every day.
So like fun money and essential money, that kind of stuff.
But start simple.
Okay.
Just keep 2 categories first. Like this is hand to mouth exist. This is stuff I cannot mess around with. Okay. iPhone does not go there. Okay. So please put your rent. Okay. If you're paying that, please put your food. Food is again kanda aloo. Okay. It's not indigo and olive. Okay.
Achha, okay.
All that stuff. Okay. So those are expenses that you will incur even if someone's locked your door, and we've had our doors locked for a long point of time. Okay, do not put Netflix out there, for example. All that is stuff that you can figure out and mess around with later.
So this is your survival money.
This is your survival money.
Okay.
Okay, if there is a nuclear war and you're in a bunker, maybe that's a scenario where you will not need money, but the chances of that are not. But on a recurring basis, if you lose your job, okay, and if for 6 months you do not have a single rupee, how are you going to survive? That's the question you need to ask yourself. And those expenses are your essentials. Okay. Rent has to be there. And rent is like 30% of income these days. Very high. Okay. You're staying in Bombay, wherever you're staying, rent is bound to be there. So please put rent out there. Please put basic stuff out there. You feel free to put in a Maggie if you want. And, Parle G if you want. And electricity bill. So all that stuff that you know that you have to spend irrespective of the world of spinning there. And now you come to the fun part.
Okay.
The fun part, honestly, choose categories that are, again, very, very appealing to you. Social expenses, indulgence expenses, weekend expenses and all that. Okay. Weekend expenses could be a movie. Okay. Indulgence could be the iPhone, like I said. Okay. Social expenses could be, you'd like to hang around. What's the cost of a beer? You're doing a beer every weekend. What does that approximately cost? That's it. You're done. And once you make all those things, so then you got income minus essentials. That's what you're left with to go on here. And for me, I've always looked at a range. India's savings is about 30%. Okay, which means that out of 100 rupees you earn, 30 is what you save. Okay, and I think that when you're young, it's okay to spend and enjoy your life. Okay, provided limits. I know also a lot of people who believe that when you're young, ulta, you should not spend at all. And therefore spend after you invest. Okay, so if you earn 100 and you've saved 70, you got 30 left, now go and spend. So find your balance out there. I'm not someone who believes in this. I just believe in the fact that for your basic expenses, you really need to have money. Okay, so that's what budgeting is about. Income, expenses, savings. It's as simple as that.
So the savings part, like you said, you put in last. After you've taken out your expenses.
A lot of people believe you should do it second.
Correct.
So income, savings and then spend. Okay, choose whatever boat you want here. I mean, people these days say that first take out savings and then see what you're left with. If that works for you, then that's fine.
Why don't you subscribe to that philosophy?
Because life, I don't know, life is more about life
experiences.
So a lot of times, I'm kind of in the middle on that. I have lived I've lived both sides. I've lived like hardcore discipline and I've kind of loosened up also. And I feel that somewhere you need to have that, somewhere you need to have a balance. Listen, it's mid of the week and if your friends just call you and say, let's do a beer. And you go, oh, I'm not sure, my budget doesn't allow me to do that. That's not the life that I want. For some people, that is the life that they want. That's why I'm saying I'm leaving it open to the listener to figure this one out. I don't want to be someone who subscribes to one particular school.
Have you had any discussions with people on how to build these kind of financial disciplines into your life, right? For example, I'm spending so much money going out and 35 beers, right? How do I build discipline back into that life?
I had exactly this kind of conversation with my wife because December was wild. December was wild to another extent. It's like 2 years of being locked up or whatever just came out in 1 month.
Vengeance.
Vengeance nahi boss, it was madness. I mean, I think there was a time when you couldn't move your car in Bandra. Anyway, let me just leave that aside. And that's what made me think a lot about this.
Okay.
That how much of my expenses, my social expenses, by the way, am I doing for pure indulgence? Okay. You go to a mall, you like a hoodie, you just buy it. You don't need it. You really do not need it. But you're in this mood. It's, it's holiday season, Christmas, this, that. Let's just buy it.
Correct.
Okay. And then when the credit card bill comes to you, you're like, yeah, I don't know. Did I actually need that? Okay. Or your friends.
The worst is when you say, did I actually buy that?
Yeah. Yeah. In my case, thankfully,
remembered it.
No. I put it in my Excel.
Oh, yes.
It's always there.
It's
always there. It's always there.
So hoodie would also have been put in Excel?
It is. Always.
Categorized?
Always. No, just clothes, whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So, and then friends. Okay. Here I just made an exception saying that, listen, for 2 years you didn't meet these guys. And friends are an important part of life. Everything said and done. I'm old school. I still believe in friends. Real life friends. Not mobile wala and all that. Although there is a place for that. But I believe in real life, look and feel, going out, doing cheers, having a good time. I believe in that a lot. And that happened again, went way overboard. So it's just a very, it's a conversation where you need to just figure out that, okay, how much of it is enough. Like, so now I've got to compensate. So in Jan, there are strict rules. Like nothing. No buying of any kind of it. So no indulgences, period. Okay. Meeting friends, again, no, and no. If I met you in December, listen, just hold on to that thought. And of course, there's also the very big benefit that my son has his exams in Feb. So he's studying. So in any case, we are kind of, slightly more sober now. But these things happen. So I have a lot of these conversations. What do I do? Okay, here's the thing. What do you do? Honestly, again, your budget is going to save you. Okay, if you've got your mobile phone, put in reminders out there. If there's an app, put a notification out there. Please be very much in track of what your credit. These days, the credit card SMS that comes in, right? You have spent so much. Outstanding balance is so much. So please read that SMS. Read it word for word. Okay? And make sure that the amount that is showing out there is something that you're in track of. I'm always in track of that. Always. Like the other thing about credit cards, a lot of people look upon it as weapons of mass destruction and all that. For me, it's a life-saving tool. Simply because I can time my expenses better. There are months of no income, but expenses don't stop.
Correct.
Right? So how do I time it? The credit card is best. So I can actually save a certain amount, put it there and just say, okay, that's for paying the credit card bills. And when the actual income comes in, I can figure that out. If you're someone who has a salary, your life is 100 times easier than mine. Okay. So there's one tip for that. If you're using your credit card, please be mindful of the balance out there, be in control of that. And cash again is cash. So yes, the answer to your question is I have been having a lot of conversations like this, but I feel a lot of this again goes down to personality types and discipline.
Yeah. I remember last year, again, indulgent December.
Yeah.
So I said, January, what I'll do is I will not eat outside at all. So everything is home cooked food.
Yeah.
Right? So that way you're getting healthier also.
Yeah.
And you're saving tons of money.
Yeah.
All my friends were like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you not eat outside? And all of that happens. But the thing is that it was amazing the amount that you just end up saving in that format.
And you do it once, it stays with you.
Yeah.
Because you finally see the wisdom in that. The benefits of that. And you will then tend to repeat it more often whenever, a similar experience happens to you. So that's a good thing.
Like you were talking about before the podcast, you were saying about, the amount of expenses that we have with just spending on friends, right? Spending time with friends.
Listen, Ashdin, they're friends. You just Google define friends. Friends are people who you know who are of your personality. People you like to hang around with. They're not people, okay, maybe at my age you have to do some friends for matlab and all that. That's a different thing. But when you're young, you got friends. They should be they should be people that you feel comfortable with. They shouldn't be people that you have to aspire to or, feel that there is a race. that I have to spend as much as them. See, let's take a Starbucks example. Okay, the basic minimum coffee out there is, I think, an Americano, which I have, which I really, really like. That's I remember in 2012, the pre-tax price used to be 95, and now I think it's 200. Okay, which means after taxes it goes all the way to 250 or something of that sort. If there are 4 friends, then they just have a basic Americano. Okay, so that's like, you're talking about a 1200 bill at an outing. I'm not even adding frappuccinos because those are really popular and they're really expensive.
Correct.
You do that thrice a week. That's 4K gone. Okay, for the entire group. I know. But you know how it is with friends. Someone just takes his credit card, pays for everyone, then you pay him and all that kind of stuff. But there are friends who just like to hang out at Carter Road. And the cost of that is exactly zero. So if these are your friends, they should understand you. You should understand them, and you should know that, okay, there is a limit, guys. You cannot afford to go overboard at all. You cannot do weekend beers if you're not earning that money. And even if you are earning that money, then you need to put a number out there.
Correct.
You cannot just go on and on and on doing this. Believe me, because this becomes into a spiral. It never ends. And you need to put a limit out there. It's very
The
important.
question is of why you're doing it, right? Like, why are you spending so much money on it?
You know how it is. It's just fun. You just enjoy yourself, and I guess people have been locked up for so long that they're going on the extreme side and doing this a lot. But no, you really need to put in some limits out there and say no, enough is enough. I don't mind hanging around with you. We can go, somewhere where it doesn't really cost too much of money and still have a good time here. Still possible these days.
Are you familiar with the Diderot effect?
I've heard of it, but I can't recall it specifically as of now.
I buy a very expensive button, and now because I have an expensive button, I buy an expensive material to stitch my suit. Now because I have bought this expensive material, I need to go to the best tailor. Now because I got this, so one expensive thing leads up to 100 other expenses, right? Does this occur in our budgeting as well?
It occurs in the lifestyle. It has an effect on the budget. Okay. My suggestion again is, if you've already gone down that lane, please take a month off, take a break, become frugal, and see how that affects you. Be brave enough to take that experiment. Do not lose control of your expenses and do this kind of stuff. Ki nahi bhai, I bought this, now I need to buy that, now I need to buy that. If it happens to you once, you need to really go back, look at your numbers, look at your budget, and say, no, this is the limit. Honestly, you should, unless you're someone who's seriously rich, who can actually afford that stuff, then please go ahead and do it. But for the vast majority of us, take a month off, go back to a frugal lifestyle, and then see the effect like you did, right? You tried that out.
Absolutely. You have to go back, see does your life end? Right? Is this the end of the world?
No,
when
it's not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's when you learn.
It's an addiction, Ashton. It's like an addiction. The same thing applies to whatever, smoke, whatever it is, bad habit. At some point of time, you will have to correct yourself. It's better if you do it earlier than later. You don't want a credit card bill that that has run amok and your credit score is all kinds of messed up. Don't let that happen.
What's this credit score, Funda?
Credit score is, it's become like a lot of people have become aware of it, but obviously it's been around for a long time. Credit score is just, so there are what are called bureaus who have calculations and algorithms that are based on your spending, and that's it. So the number is anywhere between 0 to 800, and I think anything above 750 is like really, 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 really good. Okay, 300 means you're in deep shit. You're in trouble, and anything between that is kind of normal kind of stuff. So credit score is just based on your patterns of using the credit that you have. Okay. Now, once you take a credit card, like you join your job, let's say your company has a tie-up with some bank, and the bank says that you have 100 employees, we'll give all of them credit cards. Okay, that's when the meter starts running. That's now you finally opened your credit account, and after that, your credit card, the patterns to it. A, what is your credit limit? Is it, let's say it's 1 lakh. Okay. B, how much are you using of that? Are you using only 10,000 or 70,000 or 80,000? And C, most importantly, when are you repaying the debt? That's it. That's how the credit score starts. After that, of course, it develops into more stuff. Like you take more credit cards, or the patterns out there. You take a loan for a two-wheeler, for a car, for a house, etc. All of that, all the habits out there, then build up to become your credit score. And a lot of companies who give you credit cards or who give you loans, and loans are important parts of life. Okay, let's just accept that first. India still is a country which doesn't, believe in the whole loan thing and all that, but that is changing. Loans are an essential part of life. I mean, homes these days, for example. So those loans are given on the basis of credit score. Okay, and the credit score is a little bit complicated, a little bit tough, but there are ways to track this actively. Okay, like I have subscribed to Sybil, and I've also done a podcast series with them, by the way.
Okay.
Credit Smart with Sybil, and we delved into all of these points. Listeners can have a look at that. So and it's 1,200 a year or something of that sort. With that, I can just check my credit score as many times as I want. RBI says everybody gets access to it once in a year, free of cost.
Okay.
So approach your bank, they'll give you a credit score, and then you know what it is.
So now, what do I do with that credit score?
What you do with the credit score, honestly, just be aware of it.
Okay.
And I think once a month or once every 3 months is a good time to see how it's moved. Okay. A lot of times, something unrelated happens to your credit score, and that kind of reflects in that. Last few months, I've seen a lot of people where they saw unexplained entries about someone's taking a loan against their name. That doesn't happen that much, but it works for you to just know how is your credit score moving. And is that broadly in terms of what your life is? Like, for example, you missed a payment, your credit score will go down. Okay. You will know how much it goes down by, and you repaid the debt, your credit score should recover. Okay. It just helps you to know that. And especially when you want to be taking a loan, then you want to be doing certain things. It's like your weight. It's like a gym. You know you're overweight, so you want to lose weight. You go to a gym, keep a track on the weighing machine. That's what the credit score is.
Do banks want you to default on that payment? Like, what is the? Because there must be like a.
It makes them money. Yeah. Of course, it makes them money. So that they want you to default. I mean, listed credit card companies. If you look at the revenues, and a lot of the revenues come from interest on people who have bounced on their loans.
Correct.
So of course they want you to, but you shouldn't. Yeah.
So I was watching a YouTube video the other day about this, and there was this one guy who was saying, I have never taken a credit card in my life because, credit is bad and all of this. And the other guy said, you're stupid because now you don't have a credit score, you'll never get a loan. Is that true?
That is, as a concept, yes. But then, there are startups again who are giving you loans even without a credit score.
Okay.
The hitch in that, the interest rate will be really
much higher.
Yeah. So it is possible because if, the number of people with credit scores is still very small. The vast amount of India still does not have a credit score. Does that mean they'll never get a loan? No, obviously they won't. They will get a loan. They will 100% get a loan, but
the credit score helps, etc. in that.
Credit score helps because the guy giving you a loan has something to go on to. If you don't have that, then look at it this way. The entire buy now, pay later thing, which is there on Amazon, you don't need a credit score for that.
Right.
You just sign up and you're an Amazon guy, and there is someone out there who's got like tons of money who's willing to give it out as loans at a very high interest cost, knowing that there's a very high risk because this guy doesn't have a credit score, he might default. So how do I compensate for that? I just increase the interest rate. That's it.
So on the average, I'm fine.
On the average, I'm fine. Yeah, right. I mean, but longer term, you will need to come into the system. You will definitely need a credit score. If you think that you can take out most of your life without taking a loan, you must be Mukesh Ambani or
he takes loans also, right?
For Reliance Industries, he does, and I'm sure that he has a credit score, and so does Reliance. But listen, it's good to be in the system. It's good, to understand how these products work rather than have a very hardcore rule of not using them. At the other extreme, of course, there are people who use credit cards only because of reward points.
Correct.
So they go on spending like crazy just for reward points. I don't subscribe to that. Reward points are just a benefit. They shouldn't form the basis of your decision. Right? I mean, I'm going to buy an iPhone because X, Y, Z. Do you really need it? No. People, I've changed my mobile bank to once in 5 years. Early on, it used to be once in a year. Will I just buy it for reward points? No. Please. Yeah. I mean, I don't subscribe to the whole reward points thing.
Interesting.
It's a side benefit. Hua to hua, theek hai yaar.
And this whole UPI funda that's happened now, right? Like, so now you can spend using cash, you can spend using credit card and UPI. UPI versus credit card? Because
UPI is good. UPI goes from your bank. So that is like real money right now. It's not a loan at all. Okay. At some point of time, there is talk also of UPI being driven by credit cards. But as it stands today, UPI is your bank balance. That's how I see it. I see UPI as only a technology thing and nothing else. It's convenient. But I used to pay the vegetable vendor 100 rupees. The only difference is I'm using a mobile phone. The 100 still has to be there in the bank account or in my wallet.
Correct.
Without that, there is no money. So please, be aware of that. Just because you're able to pay something very cool, you can buy a cigarette also nowadays. And I'm not going to judge people out there whether they smoke or they don't smoke. And it's as easy as that.
Correct.
The Panpatti guy has a UPI code and you can use that. But that's going out of your bank, and that's a good thing, because you use that too much, you're going to be flat broke. Unlike a credit card.
So would you spend stuff? So would you move all your credit card payments to UPI? Would you use credit card differently, UPI differently?
Great question. No, great question. I think that's a no. So yeah, I mean, wow. I've kind of tried to grapple with that also. But no, I use my credit card where I have to use my credit card. And I use UPI only when I know that my bank balance gets up. So for me, it's very simple. Bank balance or loan. Bank balance or loan. That's it. Bank balance means it is daily recurring payments for for making it easy. Okay. And loan is for stuff that is, it's either utility, so electricity bill, mobile bill, that's all going via credit card. Because I put it on a monthly debit system.
Correct.
Which is, so I don't even have to think about it. So that goes only from my credit card, and that's it. So
like
that's the way
Zomato payments would be what?
Oh, again, good question. So Zomato payments, I usually, I either use a wallet. Okay, I'll maybe use a Paytm and I'll just stack up my balance out there and link them both. Okay, because food is like, it's the weekend, we have to order, and I don't do OTPs and that's it.
So it's easier in that sense.
Yeah, so it is credit card, but it is via a mechanism that does not need OTP.
Okay.
That's it. Okay, it's like previously, if I'm going to a restaurant, I would swipe my card. In case of Zomato, I'm just filling up a digital wallet, linking it to my Zomato so that I don't have to wait for the OTP. Credit card.
And digital wallets, you think, are a good idea in terms of like keeping your money there? People worry about your money is parked, all of those things.
It's not my money. It's gone from my credit card. So for me, it's a credit card expense. It's just being held by someone else. It's not my bank account. It's my credit card which I've used to top up a certain balance. And that's it.
So that way it's
yeah.
fine.
So, or I would do, every time that there is some kind of deal going on, I would probably pick up vouchers. So there are Zomato vouchers or there are Swiggy vouchers, and I'll just add it out there. That's it. The idea for Zomato and Swiggy is just so that I don't have to put in the OTP. That's it. But it's credit card.
Credit card primarily. The others are from a convenience point of view.
Only convenience. UPI is only and only convenience. I would never take UPI to my Zomato. I would never take UPI for Swiggy. I would never take I don't actually take UPI for a mobile bill payment at all. Yeah.
Interesting. So wherever I would have used cash, I would now use UPI.
Take a haircut. Just take a haircut. Okay. I go for a haircut. That's where I use UPI. Because I don't want to take my credit card out, swipe it, and I just do the code and that's it, I'm done. And that's again depends where I'm going, right? Because some places don't have UPI, take cash, that's it. In my scheme of things, here's how I see it. Cash, tap to pay. Okay, I did an episode with the Visa guys on Paisa Vaisa and then UPI. Cash for me, I'm old school, I'm sorry about that. Maybe I shouldn't apologize. Cash is king. I love cash. I mean, cash is just so convenient. I know there's a change aspect to it and all that, but if I'm going by rickshaw, I came by rickshaw right now. It's cash. And rickshaws in Bombay at least do not have UPI, by the way.
Yeah, why?
So I asked this on Twitter and I got a reply that kind of made sense. So the reply I got, someone said that the rickshaw is owned by a Seth.
Correct.
Okay, the Seth has probably 3 drivers in 3 shifts. Okay, and he pays them individually. So he wants it to still be in cash. Somewhere this makes sense. It still doesn't make sense to me. But that's how it is. It's because the rickshaw is being used by 3 different people. So he doesn't want to do the whole cash thing.
Fair enough.
So rickshaws and taxis in Bombay, if they switch to UPI, oh boy, I would use it straight away.
Bangalore was just so easy. I hardly took out any money when I was there.
The rickshaws, they use UPI.
Not the rickshaw guys, but like everywhere else was just UPI. Everything was UPI.
So UPI is a convenience thing.
In Bangalore, you don't take rickshaws because they cost as much as the freaking Olas. Like there's no point.
For me, the simple thumb rule would be that anything that's less than 1,000 rupees is UPI.
Okay.
And anything above 1,000 rupees is straight up credit card without thinking.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So when we finish budgeting, the next part is now like I've got this money that I have saved. Now what do I do with this money that I have saved?
2 things. A good place to start would be basic financial products. Okay. Which if you've not heard of, then the 2 things, like I said, I had Melvin on my show, Melvin Joseph. He's a financial advisor. And I asked him the same thing. Where do I start? What do I do? It's a question that I get so often. And he said, listen, the first thing without compromise is your emergency corpus. Okay. The second thing is insurance. So these are the 2 things that you just have to do. Okay, a lot of people come to me asking me, which SIP? I'm like, have you, done insurance? No, what's insurance? What are you talking about? No, but I have a company insurance. No, do you have your own Mediclaim? I don't. Maybe you want to spend time on that. Okay, so start with the basics. Always, please start with the basics. Emergency corpus, 3 months, 3 to 6 months for someone who's on salary, 6 to 9 months for someone who's a freelancer. Essential expenses, remember? Okay, that number multiply by 3, 6, 9, whatever is your,
So it's only your essential expenses that you're using.
Only expenses, yeah. Okay. I mean, boss, if you're broke, then I don't think you're going to go for a beer with your friend unless someone is sponsoring you, which I don't think can go on for very long.
9 months of hermit.
Yeah. And bonus tip, remember that a loan to a friend is a donation. Okay.
Correct.
So guys, if you're listening out there, please never expect money given to your friend to ever come back to you. Okay. If it does, great for you. But for me, money loan to a friend means donation.
Correct. And you'll see him buy an iPhone, etc. And he'll be like, "Mujhe kyun nahi paisa diya?"
Don't go down that path. But a lot of friendships have been ruined just because people expected their money back.
Correct.
Anyway, so emergency corpus comes first. Okay, put that aside in stuff that you can understand. Okay, please don't put it in the stock market. Okay, even if you do understand that, but you should keep your emergency corpus in a place which is easily accessible to you at the click of a button. Okay, so that ideally could be an FD with your bank. Okay, it could also be a debt mutual fund, again depending on your risk profile, because some debt mutual funds are longer term. So if you have an emergency corpus, think of an emergency corpus as cash.
Okay.
That's it. Your emergency corpus is cash.
I should be able to get it today.
You should be able to get it max in 24 hours.
24 hours.
That is what an emergency corpus is. Okay, so it could be in a fixed deposit. It could be in a very, very low risk debt mutual fund, which gives you 24-hour redemption thing, and that's emergency corpus.
What's a debt mutual fund?
Okay, so mutual funds are investment stuff. It's like places where you can invest. So there's equity and there's debt, mota moti. Okay, that is. So a debt mutual fund is a mutual funds, pool money. So let's say that there are 5 or 6 of us out here. There's a professional guy who takes money from all of you and invests it somewhere. Okay. He can't run away with your money because the guy who he's working for needs to be safe and secure. But that's essentially mutual. It pools in money from a lot of people and invests it elsewhere.
Okay.
So debt mutual fund pools in everybody's money, gets it with him, and then loans it out, or rather invests in debt products of other companies. That's what a debt mutual fund is. And there are loans across the board. There are government loans, there are corporate loans, there are all kinds of stuff. So debt mutual fund, by the way, is it's a technical thing. Even I haven't fully understood it. A lot of questions even I can't answer about debt mutual fund. Equity is slightly easier. So
there's no Sensex equivalent for debt mutual fund?
There is not. There is not. A debt is a loan.
Correct.
So a debt mutual fund is nothing but loans. Loans given at different rates of interest to different sets of people. Okay, so there'll be a debt mutual fund that buys government loans. Now government loans will always be repaid, right? Because governments don't default. What's called sovereign guarantee. But the prices of that in the not stock market, in the debt market, just like there's a stock market, there's a debt market. They keep on fluctuating. So if you bought a debt mutual fund at 10 rupees, what's called NAV, you might not get 10 rupees back the next day. It might become 9.9. It could become 10.1. Or you don't want your emergency corpus to move around like that.
Correct.
That's why I said, preferably avoid debt mutual funds. So that's what debt mutual funds are. They invest in products that are loans given to people.
Okay, so loans to people would fall into that debt category.
Yeah.
So the first thing is you start with the emergency fund. Fund 3 to 6 months or 6 to 9 months,
Depending on your profile.
Yeah. Then you do your health insurance.
Yeah.
Okay, now that I've got these two in place.
Life. There's also life. Sorry, let me just.
So there's health insurance, then life
There's
insurance.
life insurance. Yeah, if you're someone
Should you
who's
be insuring your property and all those kinds of things also?
If you have no, I don't know. I think property insurance is like if you're, God forbid, if your house burns down, home insurance essentially gives you a value of whatever you registered there. So you might not be able to recover your painting for example, but you might get some furnishing costs, but that's it. See, property insurance, the value of the property is still yours, na? I mean, if the building, God forbid, if your house burns down, a building burns down, somebody will come and make a new one.
Correct.
And you will get a house there. So insurance can't help you there. Insurance can help you in reducing the expenditure.
Okay.
That's what home insurance is.
So the furniture, those kinds of things would be part
That's what home insurance is about. So that's what. So life insurance and health insurance, absolutely basic, and over a period of time you have to you have to increase the covers, because obviously by cover I meant the sum insured. So if you're 25, you're young, you don't need to go for a 1 crore health insurance or even a 10 lakh insurance. But your life insurance should be linked to your income. Because life insurance is about compensating for your income to people who depend on you. Okay, so if you're someone who's earning a salary of say 10 lakhs and you've got a family, you've got a wife, you've got a kid, then I think you'll probably get a cover of maybe 1 crore. Okay, so then you're kind of sorted for 10 years, and that's what your wife or whoever it is will get in the event that you die. Okay, so that's what life insurance is about, and you obviously do need it because things are uncertain and stuff like that.
Someone listening to this who's 20, doesn't have anyone depending on them. He's depending on everybody else.
Not required. Really not required. Because if you're 20, you probably have parents who are there somewhere. So someone as young as that, I don't think so. But if you're someone who's just starting his career, it's a good idea to at least understand what life insurance is and to have that product with you.
Okay.
Because as you proceed through life, you will need to keep on increasing the cover. Same thing for medical. And medical expenses are increasing and people are getting sick like right, left and center.
That's because you're not listening to the Habit Coach podcast. You should start listening to it.
Yeah. Which is what someone had told me. The best insurance is a healthy life.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I need to understand it myself. But yeah, like I said, emergency corpus, health insurance, life insurance, and then your basic, there's stuff like provident fund, which again goes from your salary, but you should also start a voluntary provident fund because that's a very nice interest rate. It's again given by government, and it also puts you into a savings habit. Okay. Once all this is done, now you come into the whole SIP thing.
Okay.
And that's a different conversation.
So now these are all the basics that have now been taken care of.
Sorted, yeah.
And the SIP part, I know you cover it a lot on your podcast, right?
Yeah.
When you're talking about different kinds of mutual funds, etc., etc. Can you give us one overarching theme to?
Yeah. It's the best part is the very first episode of Paisa Vaisa this year. Okay, had a great tip by one of our guests.
Okay.
I asked him what would be your advice, and he said, "You're young. You can't understand the markets as it, and there's stock market by the way. So I'm only going to talk about equity right now. Okay, I don't want to talk about debt. I will if you want later. He said that you don't understand stock markets, you don't understand researching companies, you don't want to do all that. Buy the entire market. Okay, so there are index funds which give you the entire market, and there are lots of index funds out there. There's a Nifty index fund, there's a Sensex index fund, there's a NSE 500, blah 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 blah. Start the habit. Habit coach. Start the habit. Start putting in money regularly. So I think that is as an absolute simple basic thing that a lot of people need to first understand. Don't go into the whole thing of where will my money double and triple and do all that. Okay, I'll talk about that also later. But as of now, get into the habit of investing your money regularly. At the risk of it sounding like cliche, time in the market is more important than timing the market. Okay, so now you've kind of sorted that. Let's say a year goes by, you're bored and you're like, I want the next big thing. Okay, now let's talk. Okay, for you, I did a webinar recently. There's something called core and satellite approach, which basically says that now that you've understood index funds, let a large portion of your money be there. And now you separate out another set of money for what's called the satellite. Now let's talk. Now what's your profile? Like are you an aggressive guy? Are you a conservative guy? Are you an okay guy? Then you go into what's called the active mutual fund space. I don't want to talk about that because that's a massive, massive thing. There's broadly, there are large caps, which are like companies which are very, very well known, which, like a Hindustan Lever, and HDFC banks. Now, these are not stocks that will double every year.
Correct.
Okay, or triple every year. But they also might not half every year. Okay, unless there's COVID, God forbid. So, you've got large caps out there. And then you've got what's called the mid cap and small cap. Slightly riskier, smaller companies, again, very lots of potential of doubling and tripling, but also the same potential of going half. So then you spread your investments out in mutual funds that help you there. Okay.
So index funds also have a mid cap,
of course,
small
they do.
cap,
Yeah,
right?
yes, you can go there also for that.
What are your thoughts between the index funds, mid cap, small caps versus the mutual fund?
A lot of people, they think of a 50, 30, 20 kind of a ratio.
Okay.
50% in large cap, 30 in mid cap, 20 in small cap. For someone who's young, they say that's, since you're investing in index funds, that's probably a good way for someone to start and get an idea of how all this works.
Right.
Rather than going straight away into choosing actual active mutual funds, which say that, okay, this is not an index fund, I'm actually going to spot these companies and invest directly in them. Okay. So that's what active mutual funds is about and passive mutual funds is about. Passive is easier to understand. I'm not saying one is less risky than the other. At the end of the day, there's a stock market and there's risk everywhere. It's just that with an index fund, it's cost effective. Okay. And when you have something that is charging you 2% versus something that's charging you 0.5% or 1%. The one who's at 0.5 or 1% naturally has a 1% higher return.
Correct.
Just mathematics.
Yeah.
Okay. Then this one. This one out here, the only reason why he's charging you more because he's spending that much more time and effort in finding out the companies that are going to do well and eventually land up in the index out here.
Correct.
That's the difference between active and passive.
That 1.5% gives you that little head start over the
It does.
return that
And
you'll
it
be
also
getting.
makes your life simpler. No? I mean, so my kids' education fund is only index funds. That's it. I don't want to mess around. I don't want to think too much about it. And I'm okay with it going up or down because I know that when I'm watching CNBC, what the index is doing is what my returns are doing. I don't have to sit and figure out make my portfolio and then do all that. So what the index is doing, my portfolio is doing, I'm happy.
So you just said kids' education budget that we didn't budget for. So what is the...
I thought your people are young and they don't have kids, and people these days are saying no kids or something of that sort.
So you budget your investments as well in that
Dude,
space.
kids' education is a lot of money. I have to budget for that. Yeah, of course.
So how would you plan that out?
How would I plan it out is...
Would you not kids' education, maybe I'm young and I want to buy a car. I would still budget that out, right? How would I plan that then?
First, you should know the value of the car. I mean, any goal has two factors in it. One, the value today, and two, inflation. That's it. Okay, because you are trying to forecast and save for a certain expense 5 years down the line. Okay, or 1 year. Or in my case, for my kid, it is 10 years. So you start with certain assumptions. What is the cost today? You put in a certain inflation number and then you invest accordingly. So if I know that my son's fees next year is say 1 lakh rupees for whichever grade that he is in, I know that I have to save 10,000 per month for the next 12 months. Okay, that's 1,20,000. Let's just put a number out there. And hopefully the market will give me 2%, 3%, 5%. That's the extra return I get. So after 1 year, I just liquidate that mutual fund and I pay his expenses and I'm done and I'm sorted. Okay. This is a very simplistic explanation. There is, unfortunately, there's taxation also, which again eats up some amount of, stuff there, but you can easily budget for that. That's how goal-based planning works. The value in the future, the investments made today, a certain rate of inflation, a certain rate of return. That's it. Four things.
And something as important as an education fund, you would not have put in a fixed deposit, for example, because you're not so worried about it crashing, crunching.
I would probably put a 1 year expense in a fixed deposit.
Okay.
But not as college fund. What I spoke to you about was
college fund.
Was a college fund, yeah. Not the annual school expenses, but this would be a college fund, which I know that I've got a 10, 12 year kind of a timeline and I can do whatever I want. But to make it simple, I just put an index fund. That's it. I'm sorted.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And would you have started also a fund for your child's future? Not in education,
no,
but him?
I would not. I'm kind of done with his undergrad. That's where my that's where my money stops. That's it.
Okay.
He can sort his life out later, whether it's his MBA, okay, or whether it's his marriage, or whether it's his whatever. My job is to ensure that. How old are you these days when you finish your 12th? You are about 18, and add another 4 years of undergrad. So by the time you're in your mid 20s, I think you figured life out. I think you can start your own life and figure your shit. Okay, if you know that if you have to
or at least stumble through your shit.
Stumble through your shit.
That is a better way of thinking.
I'm not going to spend after that. Yeah. I'm sorry, but I don't have the means to. Like I said, I'm not Mukesh Ambani. So what can I say?
He'll also take loans. But continuing from there, when do I start investing in stocks and shares and do all that sexy stuff?
Individual stocks. So I think you can do it after you've understood what stocks are. Okay. You've understood what annual reports are. You've understood what analysis is all about.
So you have to do all these things. It's not like I like drinking in Starbucks, so I
buy Starbucks. Kya hai? Ashton, if I come to you, Ashton, tell me 5 stocks to buy. You'll just say at the top of your head, Starbucks is doing well. I'll buy that. This is what I had done in the year, I think 2001, right? I had gone to a big bazaar on Republic Day.
Okay, see where this
Arey, wow, kya crowd hai? I bought the stock and gone. I mean, it did well for a certain period of time and then it's all gone. See, these thumb rules work here. You go for a movie, you see there's a crowd out there, you buy PVR. I don't think I wouldn't do that because I think you have to start from the question of why are you even buying stocks? I buy stocks because I don't want to sell them for the rest of my life. I want to hold them. I want to hold on to them forever or if something really goes down.
Correct.
Like the company collapses, or I can make out there's some serious shit, and that's the only reason why I'll sell. So I need to have a very good reason to invest in those companies.
So in fact, that's the nice way of thinking about it, right? Like your stock money is money that you'll never see again.
Ever.
Hmm.
Ever. I mean, it goes to my kid. That's what I'm... Whenever he's 25 or whatever, he can... Okay, not 25. But yeah, I don't plan to sell them.
Like, beta, I've given you Tata and Sons. like that.
A lot of portfolios are made that way. You'd be surprised there. You'd be really surprised.
Yeah.
And they've worked out really well. See, time is a very strong thing in stock markets. It's a very strong thing in stock markets, and I'll tell you why. Because there's enough data that I've shown, India specific by the way, that the longer your time frame is, the lesser your chances of losing your money. Okay, and people kind of don't get that because they're still in that, I need to double my money. No. You need to be... there's an episode that went out today. Again, I asked the same question. What would you say to a 25-year-old? You know what this guy said? He said, if you're 25, you need to minimize regret. Okay, which is a slightly complicated term. And I think a lot of 25-year-olds don't kind of get that. But he said that you need to just think forward, look at yourself when you're 40 and ask yourself this, that at 40, what do you regret not doing at 25? And that's your financial decisions. And I was like, okay, that shit is
heavy.
But that's what he's talking about. He's talking about minimizing regret. A lot of people, they don't realize that regret is a damn powerful emotion. And there's enough research that has shown also. All this stuff now it kind of gets into your head. I speak to I've had so many conversations with fund managers, trained people in finance. And they're still in that, I wish I had gotten Bajaj Finance at this price. And because Bajaj Finance has gone up a lot. And I really miss regretting it. It doesn't matter that he's made like 5 times in other stocks.
This is what you'll remember.
That's exactly how the mind works. And if you can figure that stuff out, it's a great place to start your money. So if you're someone for whom, and this is again a conversation I've had with a lot of people who believe that in financial planning should be goal-based, and they say just one thing. If you are in the race to win it, then I'm not your advisor. If you're in the race to finish it, we can have a conversation.
Interesting.
But if you want to win the race, then you'll always want your portfolio to perform the best among all your friends, among everybody. But if you're someone who's happy with 10-12% per year, those are two very different conversations. My belief is always in the second bucket. Just keep a number, invest accordingly, because when you're 65, what will matter is the size of your corpus, not whether you're India's Warren Buffett. Okay, so please just calm down, as I say.
This is so interesting because it's a mindset thing, right? As soon as you think competition, you're thinking mine is bigger than yours, mine has to be better than mine has to be this. Yeah. And there was this one person who said that if you ever want to feel poor, no matter how rich you are, take your car to a casino in Monaco.
Oh.
And you'll always, if you wait long enough, you'll find a more expensive car that'll pull up next to you. Right? There'll always be something more expensive, bigger yacht will come next to you. Yeah. So that's the funda, right? Like if you think comparison, that's where you're going to be.
And it is, yeah. I've had so many conversations because, I'm in that kind of age and all that where all my friends and they know the market, they know investments and all that. And invariably it will go towards this. Did you know this has so much rate of return? I invested here, I got this. Initially, it used to bother me a lot. The whole fear of missing out. Are my investments right? I just gave it all up. बना रहा है पैसा बनाना भाई मेरे को क्या फर्क पड़ता है मेरे को जितना चाहिए मेरा बन रहा है ना that's it I'm done.
I think that's the difference between अपना index funds and stocks. Index funds are not sexy, nobody talks about them. Stock markets are like shopping in Colaba. Like you street shopping, so you buy something for 500 rupees and you tell someone, guess what, I got this for 500 rupees. You say, I could have got it for 400. Right? Somebody will always come in.
Always. So
that's where I think the comparison is.
I mean, invest in stocks if you want. But please be sure why you're investing and how you're investing. You got those 2 questions answered, go for it.
Last 2 questions.
Sure.
One is on the conversation of gold has disappeared. Why?
I don't think the conversation of gold has disappeared. It's just gone into different directions like sovereign gold bonds. I mean, because now you can buy gold in different ways. Okay, now the government gives you bonds and guarantees that they'll pay you 2.5% interest every year. Okay, so, people are saying that why do I need to buy gold? If I have to invest in gold at, in a certain way, then there are different ways for me to do it. So that's where the conversation is gone. The conversation has become less sexy now. previously gold used to be like everything.
I need
glitters,
gold. I need gold. Correct. It was like the thing, right? To
I'm
have.
still old school, by the way. I mean, I don't invest in gold, but if I do want to buy gold, I love to see my gold.
Yeah, I wanna see it.
I don't have too much
Feel
of
its
it.
weight.
Yeah, exactly. That's me. I'm very old school that way.
Mm.
So conversation has gone towards the financial aspect.
Okay.
That gold is nothing but something that gives you a rate of return. You don't have to wear it, okay? Unless if you're, Bapi Larry and may he rest in peace. And I mean, we've lost a great guy, but yeah, I mean, if you're not in that category, then gold becomes like any investment, becomes like stocks. So the conversation is kind of gone that way. People who still believe in gold, and believe me, there are a lot of them are still very much buying gold. India's import numbers are still showing that gold is coming into this country. So it's not like people have stopped buying gold. The conversation has gone in a different direction. I've done so many episodes on gold.
Interesting. Last one is on this whole world of Bitcoin and NFT.
I'm lost there. I'm not the right person.
Have you ever had a discussion on it?
I have had a few episodes on my podcast, but I think somewhere in the middle or early last year, I kind of took a call. I'm done with crypto. I don't even want to do episodes there. I don't understand it. Then what my guest is saying is something that I don't understand. Then why should I do that?
Correct.
Of course, if someone I'm very happy, very open to having a conversation on crypto on my podcast. It's not like I banned the topic or anything, but it's not something that I want to, talk about because it's unregulated. And I don't want to get into stuff where it's not regulated. See, evolution, at least of investments, happens that first the product comes and then the regulation comes. Stocks. Okay. In Bombay, at Horniman Circle, people used to just sit around and buy and sell stocks. There was no stock exchange.
Correct.
Eventually, stock exchange came. And then it went demat. So all of that took time. Crypto is still here. It first needs to sort its stuff. Exchanges are collapsing. Exchanges are not supposed to collapse. I mean, but it did. So that kind of, which is why I think that crypto is a little bit early on, and I'm very happy, not going there and missing out on all the action that's happening, because I don't want to get into stuff that I don't understand. But there is a future out there. How and where, I don't know. Blockchain has got a lot of potential, and crypto, blockchain, all of this will get figured out and sorted out. There might be an ETF or an index fund that is based on crypto. I'm buying that.
Interesting.
But not now.
So right now you wouldn't even consider it part of a financial plan as of now?
No, not at all.
It would be part of your indulgent expenses, if at all?
Yeah. A lot of people believe in this, and advisors are, but I kind of disagree about the concept of money I can afford to lose. I don't think there should be any money you should afford to lose.
Yes.
Like, not one single bloody rupee. Don't ever put it in stuff that you don't understand. If you understand crypto and you're confident of it, please go ahead and invest it. You're asking this question to me. I do not understand, and I cannot recommend or talk about stuff that I don't understand.
Yeah. Every billionaire's first rule is don't lose money. Right? The first rule, don't lose money, because then you have to work doubly hard to get that back and then earn on top of it. So don't lose money.
And in general also, I think I was saying this on Meghnad's show also that day, that in general, in life, more money is better than less money. That's a good rule for you to, kind of just be aware of.
Yeah.
More money is usually
A good
better
thing.
than less money.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Anupam, tell me about Club Paisa Vaisa. What is that?
Oh,
What have you started?
Yeah. So we've, Amit and me, we had this thought that let's give this to the fans.
Okay.
Let's give them an idea, which is that you pay us $699 a year in introductory offer as of now, and we'll give you some goodies with that. We'll give you the entire archive. Paisa Vaisa is now, in May, we'll enter our 7th year.
Wow.
So 6 years of 350 plus episodes, I think it's about 200 hours plus of content is all yours. That's one. That's full archives. Early access. So subscribers get access on Friday evening. Okay. No ads, obviously. Absolutely no ads. And my insights into each episode. Right. So each episode is like, half an hour, 40 minutes or whatever. There's stuff, bits and pieces that I find really interesting. A summary of that, which is useful for the listeners to figure out their stuff. So these 4 things, and we're going to just add to the goodies. Okay, so that's what Club Paisa Vaisa is about. A subscriber only exclusive. And of course, the usual Paisa Vaisa though goes on. You can please listen to it. It's absolutely free, of course. There are some ads, but you will start losing access to archives. Okay, we are putting a number there. We are saying 15 episodes of archives. That's it. So Club Paisa Vaisa is our way of reaching out directly to the fans.
Interesting.
I
Love it.
hope so. Yeah.
How do people sign up for this?
So there is a process, and there are reels on that. I think that there is a website called club.paisavaisa.com.
Okay.
Go there, sign up, pay the money. you will get a link which will help you to subscribe to Club Paisa Vaisa on your favorite app. So if you're
So you
listening
can listen
to it,
to any app. It's not that a
I
specific
think there
app.
are some restrictions. So I think IVM app doesn't have it as yet. Spotify doesn't have it as yet. But
Right.
Apple and Google too, so you can figure that out.
Amazing. Fantastic. We're going to link it in the show notes. In any
I'm
case
sure we do.
before.
I hope so.
Lovely. Thank you so much
Oh
for
no,
coming.
thank you, yeah. Arjun, thank you for having me here. That was a whole lot of fun. And I hope that people benefit from this, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm sure they will.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
a lot.